Sure, just got out of the shower. I'm gonna go downstairs and get some breakfast. I'm currently in San Diego, working one flight today, San Diego to Washington, D.C., Washington Dulles. Come along. Today's the last day of a 3-day trip. Started in Washington, D.C., flew out to Washington, D.C. to Atlanta, to Chicago, to Pittsburgh. Spent the night, and then we did yesterday Pittsburgh to Denver, Denver to San Diego. And today we're doing the last leg of the trip, which is a transcon, meaning a transcontinental flight from coast to coast, San Diego to Washington, D.C.'s Dulles International Airport. Gonna head downstairs, grab some breakfast, come back up to the room because I gotta do some reading for a paper I'm writing about political opportunity theory, and then get ready to fly. Come along. Now, with coffee and highlighter in hand, we get cracking. Don't judge me about highlighting in my own textbook. I bought it for like 13 bucks, secondhand used. I'm not selling it. It's my book. I'm gonna highlight whatever the heck I want. All right, see you in a bit. All right, it's been about 2 hours, finished all the reading and the summarizing. I even wrote something for my other project that I found this touched upon, so it helped enhance that. Now it's time to change and get into uniform and start flight planning. Love when that works out that way. Now everybody does their flight planning a little bit differently, and this is how I do mine. If you want to be judgmental, you can go to someone else's page if you'd like. I like to write things down. I don't like to commit too many things to memory because memory is fallible. So I'd like to write it down for quick reference, which is why I've developed my little sheet here. Now the one thing I will commit to memory, at least I try to commit to memory, don't always succeed, are the names of my crew members. So I write them down here so that I can review them in the van on the way over to the airport, so that when I show up as the captain of the flight for the next whatever long it's going to be, 4 hours 40 minutes, at least I know the names of the people I'm working with and who I'm going to have to possibly, hopefully not, work through, emergencies or other stressful situations. It's nice to know who you're working with. The next thing I'm going to do is pull up what's called the Operational Flight Plan. This is, or OFP for short. This is the flight planning. It's been done for me by the dispatcher back in our headquarters. And the dispatcher is the kind of like the unsung hero of the flights. They are jointly responsible with me, the captain, for the operation of the flight. They've chosen the route for safety, fuel optimization, etc. And then I get to review what they've done. And I either agree with it or don't agree with it. If I don't agree with it, I call up the dispatcher and say, hey, why did we do this? Can we do it a little bit differently? And then we discuss and we come up with a plan that we both like. Most of the times, they're spot on and I'm cool with what they've given me. And I'm going to review that now. Looks like we're in a 737-9ER today. It's a 900 ER extended range. Flight time's 4 hours and 23 minutes. I like that. 4 hours, 23 minutes. And we're scheduled on 8 minutes early. Let's see if we can make that a little bit better. I've gone through the flight planning right now. I see that we're pretty close to our max takeoff weight on the aircraft. I see the fuel burns and the fuel load they want us to have on board the airplane, which is wonderful. I even added an extra 1,000 pounds of gas because I wanted to have that buffer so I can go up or down if there's turbulence to find smoother air. Now I'm checking the weather at the point of departure and point of destination. That way I can tell if I need what's called a takeoff alternate or a destination alternate. Based on the flight planning, I don't see one. I don't think I need one, but I verified anyway. Okay, just verified it. Looks like a beautiful VFR or clear day here with calm winds in San Diego. In Washington, D.C., it's going to be clear conditions as well on arrival, but a little bit of gusty winds, nothing too bad. Winds are going to be out of 320, meaning out of the northwest at 10 knots, with a gust factor of 8 for a total of 18 knots. Not a big deal. Now let's check the weather en route between San Diego and Washington, D.C. So based upon what I'm seeing here from San Diego all the way to Washington, D.C., that there's different areas of turbulence, but our dispatcher was kind enough to route us in between all these areas of turbulence. The turbulence is depicted by the green. If we tap on it, it'll tell us it's an area of turbulence, light and occasional moderate turbulence from 33,000 to 40,000 feet. And we're going to be pretty much out of it. This is from a top-down look. If we look at it from the side, from a vertical projection, we can see that leaving San Diego, a little bit of bumps on the climb up perhaps, then we should be above this area of turbulence here. And then it should be a smooth flight all the way until we get to getting closer to the Washington, D.C. area, where we're going to be in that little box that I just tapped a second ago. Come on, load. because I'm making TikTok. There again, that's a light to occasional moderate, 33, 34, but we should be getting to the point of descending below it. So what I may consider doing is having the flight attendant sit down a little early, maybe close up the cabin a little earlier if that turbulence is still there as we get closer. This is right now planning this before we even depart. I'm going to be monitoring this en route and changing my plans accordingly. The next thing I'm going to do is now check the mechanical status of the aircraft to make sure that are there any systems that are currently listed as listed as deferred, meaning they're not working. I already checked that before I started talking, of course, and everything is fine. Aircraft's in tip-top shape, knock on wood. And now I'm going to move on to checking what's called the 10.7 pages. It's called 10-7 because that's how they're cataloged. And this is information about the airport that tell me little things like safety alerts, things that we've seen that are trends, and information, for example, departures. If I want pushback, contact ramp control. So I now know to call ramp control for departures, any other thing for departures, noise abatement to assure compliance with published departures, do not turn early, intersection departure off runway 27, etc. So these are things that we review because we fly to many different airports. So all that critical information is on this page. So I'm going to review that before we head out to the airport. Next thing I'm going to check is what's called NOTAMs, notices to air missions. And it's pretty much a bunch of things that may impact the flight. For example, the approach lighting systems, runway 27 is out of service, but I'm not landing, I'm departing, but these are the kind of things that are listed in NOTAM. So I'm going to review those for our departure San Diego. Then I'm going to review them for my home airport of Washington, D.C., just in case any new ones that I'm not familiar with pop up. All right, I finished reviewing the NOTAMs, a couple of taxiway closures, nothing else that I wasn't familiar with already. Moving on to the next thing, I'm going to learn a little bit about the passengers, how many passengers I'm flying, how many seats are open, and other special services that may be required. This is not a standard thing, this is something that I like to do, and I'll explain why in a second. First thing I check is how many total passengers I'm booked on the flight. Right now we got 175. First class is full, and I have 4 seats open in coach. Why do I want to know that? In case there are crew members trying to non-rev or travel on their benefits, I want to see how many we can accommodate before I get to the gate. Next, I'm going to check how many non-revers we actually have, which are currently 0, so that's a good thing, I suppose. And I'm going to check now passengers that require special services, your wheelchair passengers and other things. Okay, by reviewing the passengers, I can now tell that we have 7 wheelchair passengers, we have 3 lap children, I have 1 young passenger traveling alone. That's a minor who is not traveling under our unaccompanied minors program, but they're a minor nonetheless. They have to be of a certain age, right, to do this. And we have 1 service animal on board, who I'm really looking forward to seeing. I can also tell that we have 24 passengers who are connecting to various destinations. I checked to see if we have any what's called million milers, passengers who are passing the million-mile checkpoint of in the mileage program. They get a certain a little token of recognition during the flight, so I checked for that as well. So now I have a nice idea of how many passengers, who our passengers are, where they're going, and that helps me humanize who we're flying. I like to fly passengers. There's a reason why I fly people, not boxes, is because I like being part of your travel experience, and this helps me feel more connected to the passengers in the back. Now all that's left is to head to the airport and fly the flight. That is it. We're in Washington, Dulles. All the passengers, as you can see, are off the airplane. Cleaner's going to come on board. Flight was a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be due to some unexpected weather changes and weight restrictions, things like that. But that's just the way it goes. Putting her to bed. And until next time, I'll see you on board. I'm going home.